Call this meeting to order. Roll call, please. Meeting's in order, folks. Thank you.
Commissioner Rexroth.
Present.
Commissioner Wessel.
Here.
Commissioner Lautner.
All present.
I think because I've already done the pledge and silence, just the previous meeting with the agreement, we can skip that item. Approval of agenda, late additions, deletions. I have a suggestion myself to start with. Item number 2. While I wholeheartedly agree with proceeding with this, I don't think at this time we can really do anything with that. So if there's agreement, I'd like to have number 2 taken off.
Okay.
And I think we did number 3 just a few minutes ago, right? So with agreement, I would ask to approve the agenda with items 2 and 3 off.
So moved.
I support.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. We have an agenda. Public comment. At this time, we allow for 3 minutes worth of public comment on anything you might have your mind on. So we would ask anyone to raise your hand if you are interested in speaking at this time. There being none, by the way, thank you for being here. There being none, commissioner comments before we start.
None here.
There being none, we'll move on to the action items on the agenda. The first one being approval of the minutes. I should have amended the agenda to eliminate the 23rd, but because we don't have them, but we'll be looking at approving the 9th and the 18th.
So moved, as presented.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. All right, on to the main budget item, interim finance plan. As has been the case for these, I'm open to a kind of a workshop type discussion with thoughts and plans, and any updates from the administrator on this item to date.
I do not have any updates at this time.
So we're still in the position of basically we have an interim plan, but we have basically we have some work ahead of us that we need to continue to place some meetings. It's a given right now that because everyone's in a kind of a state of shock from where we're at, that we're still waiting to get some staff things figured out and what our path forward is. Is there any other thoughts or discussions on this item at this time? Other than I think we need to set some future meeting dates, and we need to get about getting some business done.
So in the current structure, we do currently have the assistant finance director who has obviously been doing a great job and in kind of keeping things forward in terms of payroll and accounts payable, those things now that we've made it through the budget. There will need to be some understanding and moving forward toward end of year and prepping things for end of year reporting. We also have the current stipends that are being paid to the clerk and the chief deputy clerk through the end of the year. So while we're not in an ideal situation, we are not in a crisis situation, but it should give us the board time to start considerations in terms of how to proceed for 2024, if not before.
Any other discussions, ideas?
I guess, yes, right now we have sort of an interim plan, but I'm not quite sure. Does it take us till the end of the year? Does it take us into next year? Do we have can we get any kind of an agreement so that we can look at next steps?
And I think it's important that we involve all 7 commissioners in talking about how we move forward. But it might be this group that makes some recommendations on what that structure would be.
Okay.
I would personally prefer a plan that takes us through a whole lot more than just this year. I think we need to look how are we going to get through here to the total implementation of a plan, whatever that plan is.
I think I agree with that, at least something that gets us through the mid-year of next year, because even if we formulate a plan we can agree on, that's gonna involve staff hiring, things that take time and will not be in place, I don't think, even in the first quarter of 2024. I mean, I'd like to be optimistic, but I just don't think so. So I think that's our task to try and work hard on that prior to the next meeting, which we don't have, I'm stepping ahead on dates, but we could, I don't know if we want to have we're here Thursday. Anyway, I don't know if we want to tack on a meeting after that, or is that too much to bite off in a day? But before we get to that, I did a little bit of poking around just to see what is going on in other counties. This is just one commissioner's looking around and seeing what is out there. In the process of that, looking around at county descriptions, who else doing what and how they're doing it. I ran across I think it's BOC and Kalkaska County that are previous administrators working with, not exactly in this situation, but looking for help as a path forward. So I reached out to him and said, what are you doing there and what is being done? And so, and I can forward this email, I will. I'm sorry, it's kind of been last minute to get this information. So I'm going to pass it and I'll give it to, I'll give her my copy when I'm done to put in the records. I'll just sum this up quickly, and this is not a recommendation. This is grasping at ideas, trying to figure out what a possible path forward. And what the front page basically displays, Chad explained to me, is this. It's pretty self-explanatory. Yellow counties have an administrator, red counties have a combination administrator and someone who has a more direct impact on finances than our current structure. Basically a combination of a chief financial officer, administrator. And so you can see from the red counties there's quite a few counties who have that structure, and that is actually the structure that Mr. Janik is approaching both BOC and Kalkaska County as their process goes forward to hire a new administrator. They're looking for a combination administrator, CFO, someone with the qualifications to provide both of those functions to the county. This is just a food for thought as we try and figure out some things. I'll make sure I forward this email. He also, and I didn't get a chance to print it out, but he sent me job descriptions and qualification statements for that individual, what they're looking for. I did ask him, how do you find somebody like that? And he said in both Kalkaska and BOC that he's had plenty of applicants for that type of position. So I haven't done enough investigation to sit here and actually recommend it. I think it has some merits, and I would hope that we would look some more. I will forward this email. It's just the email on the back from Mr. Janik. Just basically says, here's the stuff. The only thing I didn't attach here is the job description qualifications. I'll send those on all administrators, and I'll copy you so it can be included. It's a food for thought, trying to find a path forward that maybe we haven't tried yet. So that's the end of what I have at this moment. So.
Well, thanks, Doug. We got to get it right. Obviously, I've been asked by lots of my neighbors and constituents, when are you going to get this fixed? And we got to do it right this time. And I like going a little slower while we decide where we want to eventually end up. That's why I would support coming a final vision down the road a little bit, and then a planned way to get there that involves any staff that might be involved in helping us get there.
I agree. I think that's a part of a process we probably missed before is having a comprehensive, everybody with buy-in into the plan. And so I agree with the moving slow. We do have to secure a path in the interim. So we need to get working on that to make sure we actually have that in place. And I think this committee has to meet quite often in the near future to force us along. I don't know if there's an idea of frequency, but I don't think we should meet any less than every 2 weeks until we get something in place. If my fellow committee members even think more often, I'm open to suggestions, but.
If we're able to get some of the footwork done and some details worked out and actually come up with a recommendation or a plan, an actual plan, a path with buy-in, I'm all for that. Otherwise, I would say we're back to the full Board of Commissioners to move forward. And so if we can be successful as a committee, then okay.
And then I see 2 action items there. The action item of how do we get through, if we, when we do devise a plan, the first order of business is how do we get through to when that could be implemented? And the second order of business is, okay, what is that plan? If there's any, I don't want to speak for him, I didn't ask him this, but if there's any interest in hearing more about this particular option, I could probably, I'm sure our ex-administrator Janik would be glad to come and speak to it if you thought it would be helpful.
Would it be possible for us to meet a week from today and see if we could get something to bring back to executive committee for discussion the following week? Not as a final recommendation, but I really am sensitive to the fact that all 7 people want to be involved in that.
Sure. So you're talking another committee of the whole, basically, on that same day? We're here anyway?
Right.
If we're here anyway, okay.
Prior to the 12:30 probably, or after whenever we're done?
See, there's going to be a problem, because Jamie's going to have to leave at 3. I don't know how long our budget's going to take.
And Commissioner O'Rourke had a
Prior
Or the
commitment.
seal.
Jen, if you don't mind, how long do you think that budget meeting should, this is capital.
It's capital,
gonna-
so
Sorry.
it's committee of the whole.
not going to be.
Thank
quick.
you for asking forever and ever and
And
ever
ever.
and ever.
Gwen will be back. Is she watching? Yeah. So, I'll some broadband in there.
How about Friday?
Meet before.
Or is that- or before?
Are we available before that meeting,
Yeah, earlier in the week might be easier.
or even that day?
Oh, I'm
Commissioner-
okay earlier in the day, but
I
not
am
for-
too. I think Commissioner O'Rourke had I don't know how, he could make 12:30. I don't remember when his,
Were we thinking of committee of the whole or this committee?
I think committee of the whole is what you're suggesting, right? Or is it
I
just this
think we need
committee?
to meet one more time.
This is committee?
I mean,
Okay.
that
Oh,
would be.
okay.
Oh, well then,
Then we can meet that morning.
yeah.
What, at like 10:30 or something? What do you have in mind?
I could meet at 10:30, and then if we felt ready, we'd have something to share with our fellow commissioners at the executive committee.
Okay.
And at that point, we may want to schedule a special committee of the whole meeting, because I think our executive committee meetings are going to be busy.
And I assume our goal there, the agenda would be we're basically looking at the interim plan, trying to establish an interim plan that's the immediate concern. So, and by then, this is settled in enough that we can get a little more feedback on our possibilities there. So I'm okay with that.
Is there any research that you would like me to do on behalf, or would you like to reach out to Chet, or do you want me to do that? Whatever, however I can assist.
I don't know if is that part of that meeting you'd like to hear from him, you think, or?
Chet?
Yeah, I mean,
Why don't we meet one more time and that's something we can discuss and,
I don't disagree, because we're really looking at an interim plan, right? So I guess we'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
I just want to make sure, we're at set meeting date, next meeting date, right?
Yep.
And you're doing
Next Thursday?
10:30,
Yep.
November 9th. Okay.
And I will email this packet to everyone. So, the next dates are done. We now are to our second, any other discussion on this item at this time?
I think so.
We had our treasurer here, and
Yeah.
I invited him to come. I wonder if he has anything he wants to share with the finance committee.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
He's here fresh from Greece.
Oh, nice.
Yes, thank you. Got in this week and had a great time. Spent a little time in Paris as well.
Oh,
It was a wonderful trip. Just my 2 cents. I know I wasn't asked to present today, but I feel that the issue at hand, we've tried and attempted 4 or 5 different times now and been unsuccessful. We've been very finance-centric in the scope of what we're trying to do, and identifying a key person that can oversee all the finance and part of payroll, all of payroll, and they're separate components in my mind. They're a function of accounting and appropriating funds and checks and balances and banks and so on and so forth. We have an HR director that is qualified to take on more responsibility, and we haven't quite identified finance director's roles and responsibilities and the new HR director's responsibilities. I think before we seek a new applicant, those roles need to be identified and codified before we open up any more conversations. If we're going to go with the CFO position, that changes the role for the administrator. That needs to be identified and codified before we have a conversation with a new applicant. We are in an opportunity to take, for example, the Raymond report and use it to springboard us forward. We spent $25,000 on it. We spent months preparing it. There is value in that report. You can't discard it. Back to Sean's point, I know he's gone, but the problem is we have to address each one of them because it affects the entirety, both the finance position and the HR with the payroll. And I think we have to look at those as a cumulative front, not separate them out as just the finance director or CFO, and then an afterthought, what's HR gonna do? It has to be one conversation. And that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you. And if you're available, as well as any others meeting, at these meetings, we appreciate all the input that you have, and including everyone involved in the county's finances, so thank you.
Thank you.
Now, anything else before public comment? Commissioner Lautner?
no, nothing else to add.
We now are at the second public comment. You have 5 minutes at this time. Discuss whatever you'd like is on your mind. And anyone who wishes to step forward, please raise your hand or motion. Mr. Mikowski.
Good afternoon. If this commission chooses to do anything with this issue of finance, every meeting that involves anybody, any resource, it will be held, must be held with the full, all commissioners present. They will all like to be informed at the same time with everything that's spoken about. And having Mr. Jonick here would have to be helpful because he did identify on the public record that the decision of May 11th, 2021 was a fiasco. It's on record. So all commissioners must be present, because they're all elected to serve. None of them are. And those who create these committees, in my mind, are failing to serve their constituents and their districts. So let's be serious about it and do this the right way, as we just said. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stay.
Any other public comment? Any commissioner comments? I would look for a motion to adjourn then.
Move to adjourn.